Alright, we're now ready to make our geese formation block. So we're going to go ahead and make one of those again. I'll set one up for you so you can see what it looks like. So in this block, we're doing the floating geese, which is new. So in this bag, you should have your 5 by 2 1/4 inch rectangles. You should have 8 of those, and you should have 16 light 3 by 3 inch squares. That's the only 2 pieces that you need to make the block. So to make the flying geese, again, you have your options of either using one of the 3 tools that we're using to do the diagonal lines for half square triangles, or you can go ahead and mark your squares from corner to corner with a pen. I'm using a tool, so I won't be doing that. So what we're going to be doing here to make our floating geese is you're going to take one of the 3 by 3 inch squares, put them right sides together with your dark rectangle lining up your top left corner and then your sides. And then you're either drawing your line here, or we're going to go so with our tool from the top right to the bottom left. So I'm going to do that right now. So again, you want to make sure that that top corner is right in front of your needle and the bottom corner is on the red line. And your eye is on the bottom corner, following that line right up to your needle. So that's the first one. I usually chain this, but I'm just going to do one here just to show you what it looks like. So again, we're just going to trim on, putting your 1/4 inch line on your diagonal line, trimming a 1/4 of an inch away, and then we're going to press that. So once you have it pressed over, take your second 3 by 3 inch light square, and you're lining up your top right corner this time and your sides. And again, you're either drawing a line from the top left to the bottom right, or you're going to use your tool to sew that diagonal. Alright, so we've got the second light square on. So again, you're just putting your 1/4 inch line on the seam you just sewn, and you're going to trim, and you're going to press that over. So it's going to look like this. So we're going to go ahead and we need to make 8 of these, so we're going to go ahead and make 7 more. And I'm just going to chain them through. So I'm just going to take my rectangle and one square, put it through, and I'll just keep putting on that first square, and then I'll do all my trimming after. Alright, so before we can continue, we need to trim and press, and then we'll put that second 3 by 3 inch square on the right side. And again, just a reminder that diagonal line has to be straight. Like if you have a big curve in it, it's going to change the shape of your block, which changes the precision of the finished block. So it's important to make sure that diagonal is straight and it's also in right into your corners. Okay, so we've got those all trimmed, and I'm just going to press those. So again, you just set your seam and just push that seam over. Alright, so now we're just going to take the remainder of our 3x3 inch squares and we're going to just pop those onto the right side of your block. So just like we did on the first one. Alright, we've got those sewn. So we're just going to trim those up and then we're going to press them and then we're done our geese. So again, 1/4 inch line on the seam you've just sewn and you're trimming 1/4 of an inch away from that seam. Okay, so the next step to finish this off is going to be just to trim off these little bits on the end here. Just going to trim those off like that. We're ready to make our block. So we're going to have 2 rows of 4 geese. So you're going to have 4 that are upside down like this. And then the other 4 are going to be right side up. So we're basically just sewing 2 rows of 4 here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And I'm just going to chain them through in pairs first. I'm going to start with the cheater piece. This is something else when you're sewing triangles and you have a little bit of a thicker seam at the tip starting. Sometimes it's just easier to start with a little cheater piece. That's one pair. I'm going to keep on doing that. I'm just going to sew my 4 pairs together. And again, there's no right or wrong way to do this. You can do one thing at a time. I like to do many things at a time. Okay, so I've got my pairs sewn together. I'm just going to cut those apart. And you notice I changed my foot before I started sewing. I'm back to my 1/4 inch foot. So whenever you're starting to sew your blocks, your pieces together, you go back to your 1/4 inch seam. So we're just going to make our rows again. So you got 2 like that, and then 2 at the base at the top. So now I'm just going to sew this half together and that half together. Alright, we now have 2 rows. So what we're going to do now is we're going to press towards the base of the triangle. So we're pressing this way. And you can see that this is how it's the natural flow for pressing. If you try to press this way, you're going to be struggling to get those tips down. So we're going to just do both rows towards the base of the triangle. And again, you can just set your seams. And then press. Alright, so now we're just going to sew those together. So we have this like this, and this one like that. So now your seams should line up right in here. And because we've pressed them both the same way towards the base, these should lock. Yes. So your seams will lock here into another. So it's twisted. And again, you can use your pins to, I just use my fingers to feel where it's going to lock together. Once it's locked together, you can just pin crossways. And again, the reason I do that is so that I can, when I'm sewing, I can get my needle down into my seam before I'm pulling my pin out. And also, just because we're pinning does not mean that it's going to end up right. It's only going to be as good as you're pinning it. So you need to make sure that it's pinned in the right spot. That's turned. Alright, so we're just gonna sew that together. So again, when you get to your seam, just slow down a little bit. Make sure your seams aren't twisted. So once you're into your seam, you can pull your pin out. And again, if you're just walking over your seam slowly, there's less chance of that being pushed apart. Right, so now we just have to press our rows. It doesn't matter which way you're pressing here at this point. So again, we're just going to set that and then press it over. And it looks like we did pretty good on our joins. So if you're happy with that, your block is done. There's 3 more to do in that bag. I've got mine done, so I'm just going to put mine to the side. And I'll be right back with our last block, the diamond star.